So EA is having a terrible time with Mass Effect Andromeda so far.
So are many of the players.
Yes, with Rich, I'll let you talk about your experiences with the new patch that was released last Thursday. And then also, they had to apologize for a certain transgender character that was in the game. Her name is Hainly. Hainly Abrams. A transgender character. And they said they apologized that she was not carried in a caring or thoughtful way during the game. So, Rich, what happened with the character? Like, what are they apologizing for?
Okay, the first planet you go to, EOS, when you eventually kind of terraform it and you build your first outpost, you go around. She's one of the science officers that's a quest giver. So once you finish her major side quest, which isn't too involved, but it's like another 10, 15-minute thing, you come back, you talk to her, and then now you have the chance to have dialogue with her, and you start asking her questions, like, what's your role here? What do you think of August Bradley, that's the mayor of the outpost? And one of the things is, why did you come to Andromeda? It doesn't seem like an invasive question. And she says, well, I was looking to change who I was and how I was perceived, kind of thing. And this isn't a direct quote or anything. This is just how I remember the whole thing. Yeah.
So you've actually had a conversation. You talked to her. Okay.
Because you don't know where you're going with this. Like I said, it's not a tell me your life story. It's just, hey, you do this with numerous characters. Why did you decide to join the initiative and come to Andromeda from the Milky Way? And she says, I was looking to change how I was perceived. I didn't always feel like I fit in. And she just then slips in that I used to be, and forgive me, I don't remember the name, but she's obviously supposed to be a feminine character, and she says a masculine name, letting you know that she is transitioned from male to female. You don't have any follow-up questions. You don't ask her anything. There's nothing about, well, what does that mean? Or can you explain it to me? How would I tell my kids if they're going to be around you? You don't have any of those conversations. It's fit in, but the thing that I think is pissing off people that are supporters of the trans community is it doesn't serve anything. I think BioWare was trying to fit it in there to go, it is in the future. We're also accepting that someone just says it and people go, oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that about you. And they skip on just like, hey, what's your name? My name's Steve. I'm from Oregon. And then we would go about our business or a different dialogue. It wouldn't be, so when you were in Oregon, did you ever have some weird life choices that you had to go through and confront societal extremes and norms and how they fit into your perception?
Yes.
But you wouldn't normally have that conversation with somebody you just met. And it wouldn't, if they did open up and tell you that kind of stuff, you wouldn't just be like, great talking to you, Hainly, and leave. If someone is sharing that much with you, you would think that there needs to be some level of intimacy, not romantic necessarily, but they have to be comfortable with you where they feel that they need to share the truth and you're deserving of hearing the truth and that you'd be accepting of whatever it was. And then there would be some give and take. It would be a dialogue. She has a monologue that's basically, I used to be a man. It doesn't even say deal with it, so it's not forceful, but it seemed like it would be out of place. You wouldn't normally go up to someone and say, hey, did you used to be a man? And you don't even do that. She just goes, hey, I don't know if you were wondering, but I used to be. It just seems weird.
If you came up to me and said that, I'd be like, blessed.
Exactly.
So did you talk to her before it went out with the controversy? So did you know of her before or after?
Here's the thing. It was so matter of fact, and Hainley's already a weird name. I didn't think anything of it. I didn't. Not once when I heard that dialogue. Because the name is not a standard one either. The masculine name. Forgive me. Someone's going to be like, no, it was like James. How could you not think that was a masculine name? It was one where you could obviously tell she changed her identity. When I played it the first time, I just thought that it was one of those.
How many times did you play it?
No, before I knew that you should be paying for it, because you go back and play that dialogue.
Oh, okay.
Because you know how you can repeat the dialogue tree. Okay, so when I heard it the first time, I thought it was just, yeah, I came here because I made some mistakes and I was known as this person on this. I didn't even catch the trans undercurrent of that conversation because there was nothing about it that was, are you accepting of my lifestyle choices? Which I think is a progressive step that it was, like I said, it's so matter of fact and in the future society is kind of accepting. They didn't question it. They didn't say, well, that's weird or that's odd or like I said, clutching your children. What am I supposed to tell them about your choices? None of that happened. So I didn't even realize it was supposed to be a transitional character. I thought it was just, my name used to be Mark and now it's Rich. Because I couldn't deal with the mistakes that Mark had made in his life. I just thought that that's what they were doing, because Hainly was already a weird name. I thought that that's what they were trying to get at.
Sounds like everybody that moves out of Las Vegas ends up moving into Las Vegas.
Yeah.
It's not a...
Exactly. I didn't even catch that it was supposed to be a trans person.
So do you think BioWare should have apologized to this, or is
I know why
big of a controversy?
I know why they did, but it's one of those, like, if anybody even cares and watches this, they'll be telling me how I'm, because I didn't phrase something the right way. This is why so many on the right, and I'm not a right-wing supporter normally, but this is why you get that whole thing about snowflakes, social justice warriors, is it gets to be where every single thing has to be dictated so specifically, and once you forget that, or how did you assume that, then people just get so frustrated and they go, you know what, you're the one who's asking for accommodation. Maybe you should just, understand that when you go home and come out at Christmas or Thanksgiving, your aunt or your grandma is not going to be comfortable with it, and it starts a fammy fight.
It's not even that big of a fucking deal either.
It's not, and that's what
game. It's a video game.
So they shouldn't have. I know why they did it, and I think that their hearts were in the right place, but it wasn't handled well. But then again, not everything needs to be a teachable moment. I like that it was so subdued that I didn't even realize that that's what they were getting at, and that the characters might have been oblivious like I was, or they might have been just so accepting that it didn't faze them. I think that's a good message. That's acceptance. That's the equality that they're fighting for. But when you point this out, did you want them to come out and have a whole dialogue tree? Does Scott or Sarah Ryder have to have it where they can have a romance with Hainly so that we can go through all the ins and outs of what it would be like to be the partner of a transitioning person? No.
Well, the same thing with Independence Day 2 is people actually didn't realize that there were two characters who were actually gay. And they didn't make a big deal.
Oh, the doctor and his assistant.
Yes, they didn't make a big deal of it because, as the director was saying, it's just part of society. It's not that big of a deal.
You thought that they were just goofs and very friendly, and then it's not until the one is passing away.
Yeah, that they're actually two lovers.
Spoilers from
bringing that part up, like also with a game we were just talking about, The Last of Us. What the DLC, her first kiss was a girl. And, I mean, that doesn't make her a lesbian because throughout the full storyline of the actual game, she's asking Joel about guys, or, dudes, because she never had...
She's just figuring it out.
Yeah, she's figuring it out. And so,
is she getting laid in the sequel?
I don't know. She's old. I guess.
People were speculating she might be pregnant.
But, you don't know.
By Joel?
Like,
no, I would say
no,
not.
no. Well,
it's possible, but I don't think it's likely.
No, I think that's more of a daughter figure.
So in that Andromeda game.
Wow.
Kratos' son and her are going to get it on.
Mixing properties.
Keep it in the PlayStation family.
We're on to something.
Fucking around. I'm fucking around. Anyways, yeah, people were like, oh, she's automatically a lesbian. She's a lesbian this. You can't put a title on that because she's still so young that she didn't even know what the fuck she was doing half the time. Like, she was just experiencing her life, and that's what they told. But people were speculating.
And I know this is a side topic, not quite video games, but in that true equality is when we don't have to say this is the first very specific subgroup of a subgroup of a subgroup to do something, right, as opposed to this is the first person who did it. Like, we already had the first person to walk on the moon. We don't need the first transition from male to female, but chooses to still date males, LGBTQ plus astronaut. It's the first person that walked on the moon. It's okay to say that we're all one. Isn't that equality? As opposed to...
It brings up to the point.
It brings up to the point, like, where... what if it was an alien? Would it caught so much heat from anybody? Like, if it was a transgendered, whatever the hell alien that they put in the thing?
Here's the thing. I think if it was an alien, they probably would have been more open about dealing with the societal pressures, and there would probably be someone that was an outside aggressor that was, threatening them physically, or, exiling them from their community, mm-hmm, and then everybody on the other side would go, oh, does everything have to be you're preaching about how they're not included? Mm-hmm. And everybody'd say, well, see, this is why we have to have that, is because you're complaining when there are people who are excluded. This is exactly what we're fighting for. And we're all going, it's the people in the middle are stuck going, it's a fictional character in a fictional universe
Right.
in a somewhat similar to a real life situation, but it's not the same thing. You're not an Angara that's been thrown out of the community. So
Yeah.
that's where you get these problems. I get why they did it. I don't think it would have had an effect if they hadn't. It was nice that they tried it. It was nice that they apologized.
Well, I think Mass Effect has tried to push the boundaries as well in the original trilogy, as you can have sex with the same gender.
Yeah.
That they added that
And that was
into
one
the
of the
series.
things that the patch fixed, is that now Scott has more drawn out male romantic possibilities than he had originally, where Sarah had full on lesbian ones, plus their heterosexual entanglements, which Scott could pretty much romance any female that he meets in the game that's a primary character.
Well, with the last name of
Charles-
Ryder, you can do anyone.
Well,
you
Dragon
want.
Age did it too. I mean,
Dragon Age did.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, but they get it, again, like you were saying with the aliens, though. They do like, well, he's an elf, you know? They're like, well, that doesn't count. He's not really a gay man. He's a gay elf, so we don't count
in
that.
Origins, was it Dragon Age Origins? I can't even say
I know
it.
Inquisition. You could.
Oh, Inquisition. Yeah, that.
No, they had an Origins
I didn't know
too.
about
Yeah,
Origins.
they had a.
That,
they had
that thief type of character could do it
and
too.
in Inquisition, they had the gay magic user. He was gay, and he was openly about it. In in the whole storyline, his dad was not accepted of him. If you remember that.
Yep.
Yeah. So you have to play through that, but it wasn't. It wasn't bad. I mean, I kind of felt bad for him. I was like, "Damn, bro! Like, you need a bro hug? That's all I'm giving you, though." Like,
I went all out. I went more than a hug.
nah, you're a whore. But I know that.
Thank you. Yes. But BioWare, I know in their patch from last week, we're working on fixing the dialogue with Hainly, and again, they have more patches. They'll probably be doing patches until the next Mass Effect game for this.
They do them like this one, I hope not.
Yeah, with the newest patch to fix a
more
lot.
problems.
So they're working on the patch to fix that conversation, that dialogue with her. If they haven't fixed it completely from last Thursday, I know they were fixing more with that as well. With the patch, very quickly, Rich, how has the new patch been for
Horrible.
you?
I wish it wouldn't have happened. There's one character that looks better. They're not as herky-jerky like I said on the last one, but they're still awkward. They still don't walk naturally. It doesn't seem like an improvement. Addison, that is the main contact for the Pathfinders on the Nexus, complete rework of her character model. That does look much better. But everybody else, I'm trying to find where they've made an adjustment. And now I've got all kinds of slowdowns, stalling. I've had 2 game crashes where I'm kicked back to the home screen. I've had at least 3 or 4 times where it's frozen. And, there's stalling that happens naturally since the patch. But even now, it freezes, and when it goes for like over 3 minutes, I know it's not coming back. So I just go back to the home screen, quit, and restart the application again. I shouldn't have to do these things on a marquee title like this. It's ridiculous. It's worse than it was before.
EA, again, BioWare, they haven't chosen these patches with apology with the controversial character.